Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Stoughton School Committee meeting. Today's date is December 13th, 2022. This is being recorded on Smack for Future Viewing. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right. Ooh, yeah, we have to keep that open. Thank you. So the first thing is we have our public hearing for the FY24 budget, so we'll need to open the FY24 budget hearing.
Make a motion to open the public hearing, FY24 budget.
And can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Great, thank you. All right. So, do we want to just talk briefly about the FY24 budget? You can share some detail, Dr. Ev?
Sure, absolutely. Thank you, Mrs. Gropey, members of the committee. If you take a look at the FY24 overview of the budget, you'll notice that our contractual increases remain at $1,052,000. That's the same increase that we discussed back on October 11th. And that is the Chapter 70 money that we have coming in this year that we're using for town meeting articles that were approved at special town meeting. We're now using those same funds in FY24. So there's no additional cost to the town for that $1,059,000. This budget fully incorporates the special town meeting money that was approved. The $2.9 million has been put into FY23 and carried over into FY24. So that's fully incorporated into this document. And then if you look at the bottom, we do have 5 FTEs of some new positions, one that is consistent with our triennial plan of our ELE program coordinator. That person will work as an assistant to our program supervisor right now. In our ELE program, we have over 500 ELs and former EL students right now, and the program has grown to the size where it needs an assistant and somebody to help out with the paperwork. In addition, we have 2 assistant superintendents and an assistant superintendent administrative assistant. What we found in the district is that there's many people in administration wearing many different hats. And so as a result, this will allow us to streamline our administration and really assign people to appropriate tasks. Having a human resources assistant superintendent will give us the opportunity to bring all of those things under one umbrella, and similarly, an assistant superintendent for maintenance will allow us to bring technology and maintenance under that same umbrella as well. And we're also adding a civil rights DEI coordinator in order to help us move through those issues for next year. So those additional funds are offset from additional circuit breaker funding that we received, grant and revolving account funding. What we found is after special town meeting and we added the FY23 money in, we provided free transportation, we provided 3 athletic fees for all of our students. So those revolving accounts have remaining funds left in them, and they need to be spent down appropriately over the next couple of years. And so that allowed us to fund those additional positions and still maintain at a $1,052,000 increase. So that's a 60,000-foot
Yeah, so the positions in the reorg are the 3 bottom ones on the overview, right?
Exactly.
So the civil rights DI coordinator currently is Mr. Ford. So what we're doing is transitioning that to a different person because you're creating the assistant superintendents.
Exactly.
So that's shifting under the HR.
Exactly.
So that is what it is? That's what
The
okay.
DEI coordinator will report to the new assistant superintendent for human resources.
Okay. Does anybody have anything they want to discuss in terms of the budget? I know we've gone through this since October, and we've had this in public meeting. No?
I had a
Sorry. Yeah.
question about the out-of-district tuitions. I know that you stated earlier this fall that the state was proposing a 14% increase in those. Is that still on the table? How is that going to be worked into this?
Unfortunately, it's still on the table, but we've all written to our legislative delegations, and they've responded, and they're very aware of that proposed increase. it's not sustainable for anybody in the Commonwealth. And so all towns, especially through the Mass Association of School Superintendents, we have petitioned the legislature to really look and see, we're accustomed to a 2% increase, but a 14% increase would be an additional $450,000, which we cannot sustain. And so we are really looking for the legislature to help us out, and I've contacted the legislative delegation, so they're aware, certainly of Stoughton's issues, but I think it's a universal issue in the Commonwealth.
Where did it come from, that large increase?
I think it's increased in costs that they have, as well as increased costs for their staff at these different places. They haven't given their staffs many raises over the years. They've maintained very flat increases from one year to the next, 1%, 2%, and I think that's finally catching up with them. But they can't fix it in 1 year. That's something that they have to look at and really fix over time.
And you also mentioned that in the fall town meeting, the transportation, sports, fine arts fees were all being returned back. Do we have an idea of when those are going back
Yes.
to the families?
Yes, the check should be in the mail in mid to end of January. We processed all of those at Town Hall. Actually, today, we finished up the last ones at Town Hall. And as it goes through the process, by mid to end of January, all those checks will be out to families.
Great. Does anyone have a comment here to speak to the FY23 hearing, budget hearing? No? Okay. All right. Yep. Do you want to go through the articles? Next, articles?
Sure.
Let's talk about those.
So we have two articles. The first one is security upgrades, and I'll talk a little bit about them with the understanding that we don't talk too much about our security in the public forum, because we do want to make sure that everybody understands we need to protect our students, we need to protect our staff. And so we talk about security in broad strokes with the understanding that it is well taken care of. We have a $450,000 article for these upgrades, and just as a very, very brief summary, our current intrusion alarm panels at the larger buildings lack the capacity for additional security sensors and additional user codes, so we need to upgrade those. And spread out over the buildings, it'll be about $80,000 at the middle school, and 40 and 40 at the Daw and the Gibbons, and then replacing the other sensors for another $40,000 in the other schools. This critical upgrade will increase user capacity at the three larger schools, but add security sensors everywhere. The remaining schools, like the high school, are already all set, so we're catching these up to the high school. And then another part of the article is interior door hardware at 7 schools, not including the high school. So we're trying to bring all the other schools up to the same door hardware that the high school has. The high school is current, it's current with lockdowns, it's current with what we expect to see. We want to bring the other schools up there. And right now, classrooms, offices, and other rooms accessible from the halls have a mix of hardware and lock styles, and it creates an inconsistent means of securing the rooms for daily use in each one of our buildings. And so the teachers, it's not consistent across schools or even within a building. There are 515 interior hardware sets, in case you didn't know that we need to replace. And we want to make them consistent to the recently reconstructed high school. And so that's the second half of the article for $450,000.
In the South School, I know that we did, that's not,
It is included in the sense that we do need to do those upgrades immediately, and we're probably 4 or 5 years away from the new building construction. But what's nice about lock sets, I did ask Joyce, they can be replaced and reused. So we could salvage some of them and then
Good.
use them in the other buildings.
good.
I can talk about the Hanson Playground replacement as well, unless there are questions about that. So the Hanson Playground replacement, last week, we went before the CPC with the members of our Student Advisory Council who were instrumental in bringing this forward. And they've approved $950,000 of CPC funding to move forward with the project. So we're real excited about that. And this will completely replace the playground at the Hanson. So it takes the whole playground out, replaces it with a rubber surface, which is ADA compliant and easier for students of all abilities. And we want to make sure that the new playground has all of those things. It will also have significant drainage, so that right now at the Hanson, if you're there, you'll notice there are puddles and different things like that. There's also trees in the playground itself that are a tripping hazard. And these are all things the students actually pointed out to us, and then we went through it. And the CPC was very happy to support that for a brand-new playground at the Hanson. So we're excited about that. The numbers break down. The playground design and structures is about half of that at $400,000, and then the surface is another 100. So by the time we get all the construction in, we're at $950,000. And the CPC was happy to support that, and so we're moving forward. We're putting that out there, so it's exciting.
I want to still thank those students, the Student Advisory Council students, for bringing this forward. When we met with them, we said, think outside the box and not just think about the high school, think about the whole district, because that's what you're there for, and it's, what do you think is a priority and what would be something that we could do for any building, any school that's a new high school they're in. So we said, think outside the box, and it was great 2 years ago for them to bring the Hanson School playground up. And I do appreciate that they went to the CPC meeting last week and spoke quite articulately. So it was a great thing to see, and I think that the folks from CPC appreciated that as well. So shout out to those. I know that our Student Advisory Council rep couldn't be here this evening, but it was appreciated, and that is something that I know she went to the Hanson, so it was near and dear to her.
I have a question. So I want to say thank you to the students as well, because they went to a couple meetings. They actually went to the playground and they pointed out some of the things. But one of the issues that they were having was the blacktop. And I understand that CPC cannot help with the blacktop. Are we going to put something forward to kind of address that? Or would that be another article, or how are we going to approach it?
It would be something down the road. As I was talking to Mrs. Hussaini, our Director of Maintenance and Operations, she said to me, if we do this project first and we establish and figure out the drainage issues and kind of get the playground settled, it'll be a little bit easier to look at the blacktop down the road, but that would be a few years from now to be able to do something like that.
Okay.
And then we're at the CPC meeting, there was, obviously they approved this to move forward for the funding, but did you speak to Fran?
I did.
Okay.
Today. So we agreed, there's different mechanisms of funding, so there's the design of the equipment and the equipment itself, and there's the construction component of it. And I did some research today, Mrs. Suko did some research today, and we can procure the design and the equipment itself, all the playground structures, through the Massachusetts Higher Education Authority contract. So that's a contract we can use with M.E. O'Brien. And then the construction component will go under a bid process, and we'll just be able
Okay.
to bid that out. So it's, the project will be in two components. The first part is the design and picking out all the structures, and then the second part, which will have to go out to bid, is the construction itself, which is fine.
Okay.
And we work that out. So she has written to the CPC and given them that assurance that that's the procurement that we will follow as a school district.
So the letter is particular in support of, okay. Well, that's good that you guys were able to figure that out, and thanks to you and to her. So any questions on these two articles, the security upgrades, intrusion alarm upgrades, and interior door hardware, or the Hanson Playground replacement? Very quiet, you guys, this evening. No?
No.
Okay. Okay, seeing no comments? No? Okay. So I'm going to leave the public hearing open just for a little longer until we get to this section in the budget, and then we can close this, just in case we have someone that comes late and wanted to speak to the budget. Everybody good with that? It's common practice, what we've done in the past. Great. All right, so the next item on the agenda that we have is the superintendent update.
Thank you, Mrs. Gropey. So I have a couple of things this evening. I was very happy last week on December 5th to attend the National Honor Society induction for our seniors for the class of 2023. Over 60 members of the class of 2023 were inducted. They couldn't have a traditional induction last year due to COVID, and so they put it off this year. And they've already identified 60 juniors in the class of 2024, and they were there celebrating their senior colleagues. In January, they will also have their induction ceremony. So by mid-January, we'll have a full complement of over 120 students from Stoughton High School as members of the National Honor Society. It was great. One of the things they do in the induction is they give little biographies of each student, and it was neat to hear the biographies of what the students did for service and leadership in order to have a place in the National Honor Society. So we're real excited about that. I wanted to give the committee an update on the South School project. That is really starting to kick into high gear right now. So we have already established Vertex is going to be our owner's project manager. Compass, they used to be called Compass, now they're called Vertex. And we just hired DRA as our designer, our architect. And that now completes what they call the project team. So the project team is the school building committee, the designer, the OPM, and we can begin what's called Module 3, which is the feasibility study. There are several components to the feasibility study, and particularly Module 3, all of which have to happen by June 27th. So we're going to be on a pretty aggressive schedule with the school building committee. There are two components of this that require school committee approval. So we have a school building committee that handles kind of the day-to-day work, and then there are decisions that that are reserved for the school committee. And in this process, there are two of those. So the first is in the preliminary design program, and that will happen in January and February. And they look at spaces, and they look at the education program, and then that is submitted to the school committee for approval. And in and around March, the school committee will be asked to take a look at and approve that, and that needs to be submitted to the MSBA by April 4th. So that's kind of the first big deliverable that we have to work on. The second one is the preferred schematic report, and that is this time when the school committee will get to consider the redistricting plan and exactly what we're going to do moving forward. And so that is due to the MSBA on June 27th. So sometime in June, the school committee will have to take a look at that, and we'll give plenty of notice. This is just a preliminary work. We're meeting with DRA tomorrow morning briefly, just to go over the whole schedule. So I'll get all of the information from them, and then I'll be able to share that with the committee so that you have all those dates. We have scheduled 2 community forums so far, and there'll be more to come. But at our school building committee meeting last week, we scheduled 1 community forum on Saturday, January 21st, from 1 to 3 at the South School. And DRA will be leading that. I'll be there. Members of the project team will be there.
What was the date?
Saturday.
Fast.
I'm sorry, Saturday, January 21st.
Thanks.
They found some success with the high school project doing these community forums on Saturday. We chose the afternoon. We thought it would be a little bit more family-friendly for people with younger kids. On Tuesday, January 24th, we'll be doing a second community forum, and that'll be virtually from 7 to 9. DRA wanted to do a virtual community forum so that anybody could participate, could make sure they're on it, and we will be scheduling more of those as the time comes. The school building committee approved the contract for DRA, and one of the things that we were talking about was the amount of money necessary to complete the feasibility study by FY24. So this is all trending toward a town meeting vote in May of '24, a year and a half from now. And what was brought to our attention by the owner's project manager is that we could settle DRA's contract within the $750,000, but there were things that were short. Because when we approved the $750,000 2 years ago, that was an appropriate number, but now with inflation and construction costs and everything else, it's anticipated that we're going to need likely another $200,000. And so the school building committee will likely go to annual town meeting and propose an article for an additional $200,000 that will keep the project moving. And specifically, they were very transparent about what that money is needed for. It's for survey work to make sure that we find the right plans, via geotech work, traffic work, any hazardous material abasement, and to help us with the redistricting plan as a consultant. So once we figure that out, to have a consultant to help us out. So all of that information is brand new, came up last Tuesday. We are keeping the website current, so we'll have all that information on the website for the South School Building component of our website, so anybody can take a look and stay current on the project. There's a lot of information, a lot of deliverables. Both Mr. Dorr and Mrs. Monahan are going to be very busy in the next couple of months putting together the educational plan and working together with us. But we'll keep everybody informed, and we'll make sure that everybody knows what's going on day by day.
So can I just ask you, I'm
Please.
sorry.
Sure.
That was a lot, it was fast.
I apologize.
I was trying to take notes. The 200,000 that you said additional, which town meeting would that go to? You said the building committee was bringing that forward?
The building committee was going to bring that forward for May of 2023. So we have enough funding to keep ourselves moving until then, but they're fearful that we won't be able to get these other things done without an additional $200,000.
So if we start moving now and say that doesn't go through, what's going to happen with the project?
We would have to be very, very mindful of some of the things that we're going to need that are going to make it hard to meet the deliverables for the MSBA. So without the money, frankly, what TJ Recupero, the school building committee chair, said at the meeting last Tuesday, it would stop the project. We wouldn't be able to move forward as efficiently as we want to. I think if the money wasn't approved, we would really be tightening our belt to a point where some of these things that make it helpful when we go to the MSBA, like geotech surveys and traffic surveys and hazardous material abatement, if we don't have those, it's going to be harder to sell it to the MSBA. So it's one of those things that has come up because it's been 2 years and the costs of everything are rising, and we need to make sure that we have all of this included.
Can I just add that another factor really is the fact that when this was initially put together, the committee indicated that the redistricting plan was not as high a priority, and with that a higher priority, that's one of the costs, is having that consultant to provide more information, especially for us when we go to make that decision in June, about what the feasibility is.
So those public sessions, the community forums, people can ask about all that, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Sorry, thanks.
Not at all, no. So that was my...
Understand it.
No, that was South School, so if there's any other questions on South School, I'll move on to the next topic that I have.
No, that's, anybody else? No.
No, thank you very much. So I wanted to take a moment and clarify for the committee my position on the classroom situation that we've been dealing with. And I just want to make it clear, over the last few months, I've had a lot of requests to hang different things in classrooms, different kinds of flags, different posters, different materials. And I'd get a lot of questions about why are certain things up? Why is a certain poster up? Why is a certain flag up? Why is this on the wall? Why is that on the wall? And I gave it an awful lot of thought of how do you handle this in a public school. And it became clear to me that in order to keep the classroom safe and neutral for everybody, the only course of action was to make sure there was nothing on the walls, and to keep no flags, posters on the walls, and have nothing up on the classrooms. That keeps everything neutral and safe. At the same time, I recognize the needs of our LGBTQIA+ community, and that those students need to be sure that they are comfortable and safe in every classroom. And so we put a ally sticker on every classroom, grades 6 through 12, so that those students would know that they're safe walking into those classrooms. And I wanted to be sure those students knew that they were safe. The stickers welcome those students, and they also adhere to our commitment toward inclusion, so that there's no debate as to whether or not those students are included in the schools. I've had some questions about what if a student doesn't feel safe? What if a situation is such that a student doesn't feel safe? I would expect that student to report that to their teacher or to administration, and then we can handle that through our regular channels. But I want to make sure that all the students feel safe in the classrooms, and if they don't feel safe, they absolutely need to report that, and we can take care of that through our regular handbook channels. So I just wanted to clarify that for the committee. I just think it's important that everybody is aware of that. And that's the end of my superintendent update.
Does anybody have any questions, any comments? Fabienne? Thank you to our business manager, Ms. Seco. You're welcome. Wave to the camera.
Smile.
She does not like to be on camera. I just want everybody in the room to know, so. Okay, so, our student advisory committee rep, as I had mentioned earlier, is not here, so we're not able to get an update. She sends her regrets. The next item is public comment. I want to be clear, we have 3 folks that signed up. These are the folks that will be speaking at public comment. It's for comment, it's not for open discussion and for us to go back and forth. In addition to that, it's at 3 minutes per person. So Katie is going to time each person, and then when you have like 10 seconds left, she'll put her hand up like this just so you're aware and you know, so that you don't get blindsided if she goes stop. She's been known to do that, so everybody just know that. Okay, so, oh, you're right there. I didn't even notice that was you. Hi. What I'm going to ask is when you come to the mic, can you please just state your name and address so that we're aware who you are? Rachel Lazarus.
Yes.
Welcome.
Rachel Lazarus, 25 Jordan Drive. I have a kidney Gibbons. And actually, I'm really happy that Dr. Rob just stated his consistent neutrality policy, because that is actually what I wanted to talk about. I completely understand Dr. Rob's interest and desire for consistent standard to use, his interest in having the school remain a safe place for all students, and I do understand that you are balancing the needs of a variety of needs in the district. But at the same time, I just want to say, safe and neutral are not synonyms. They are values that have both historically and recently come into conflict. Under the rules described just now, no teacher could have a poster featuring Martin Luther King Jr., Helen Keller, Mahatma Gandhi in any student classroom, as none of those figures held any position that is consistent with neutrality, even though they are surely figures that our students will be learning about and hopefully from. I want to say rules created with the best of intentions can frequently have unintended consequences.
Hold on.
Just fix it. Just going to put the mic on.
I'm just loud. I just assumed everyone could hear me anyway. And a rule that intends to enforce neutrality, which in practice has the impact of removing public acknowledgement of multiple minority groups, that is an unintended consequence that will have a negative impact on our students. The intent may be to have neutrality in the classroom, but if the impact of the rule is borne disproportionately by a minority group, that outcome is not neutral. Furthermore, if the impact is proportionately borne by groups that are protected classes under Massachusetts state law, which both sexual orientation, gender identity are, religion, there are a bunch, this may be opening up the school district to claims of discrimination, again, completely unintended, but that is what happens when we try to be consistent with neutrality. I request that we revise this rule with an eye to the principles set out by DESE, including advancing equity, exemplifying cultural responsiveness, and I think that might be the best way forward through the thorny issue of balancing safety and inclusion on one hand with potentially provoking people offense or anger or some kind of negative reaction on the other. As it stands, a stance of strict neutrality will not remove the possibility of anger and offense at any school. It will only redistribute it in an uneven manner towards those who are already being impacted the most. And while I understand, school committee, that only flags consistent with neutrality is a rule from the superintendent's office and not a policy that you have direct control over, the school committee is ultimately responsible for the superintendent's position in this district. I was very heartened to hear earlier that you're hiring someone who's focused specifically on civil rights. I think that would really help to have that a focused area of an area of focus. I also encourage the school committee, if you can, to look into creating some sort of task force that can look into designing a more discerning policy for the district that would be in adherence with DSE's guidance, Massachusetts state law, and the desire to have a consistent policy. I think that there are ways that you can do that.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for your time.
Thank you. In under 3 minutes, Rachel.
Yes, we had
Last,
one second to go.
you were very quick. Good for you. Hillary, I might say this wrong. Hillary Carpinella?
That's it.
Yes, I got it. Again, just Katie will give the wave and give you a heads up so you're not
When you hear Game of
blindsided.
Thrones, it's time to stop.
Game of Thrones noise, apparently. Okay.
Good evening. I stand before you today as a concerned parent of 3 children in Stoughton Public Schools. I've reached out to each of you with my concern regard to the policy of neutrality and even had a brief back and forth email conversation with Dr. Rob. Earlier this fall, news outlets shared stories of Stoughton educators being asked to remove politically charged flags from their classrooms. These flags included, but were not limited to, pride flags, Black Lives Matter flags, and others. A couple months later, teachers who did not initially remove said flags and signs were approached by their principals and read a pre-written statement to remove them. Some teachers did, and others did not. Some did so quietly, and others spoke out. At that time, any teacher who spoke out and identified themselves as a SPS employee or did not remove the flag or sign was subject to a disciplinary warning letter. Hearing all of this left me concerned and heartbroken for children who need safe spaces and safe people. Immediately, students noticed flags were removed and questioned it, some at school, some at home. Many teachers everywhere hang these flags as outward symbols of acceptance to marginalized groups. Now those students will have to sift through the ally stickers and safe zone stickers on every door and find the adults they can truly trust. Many of these students are in crisis with high levels of thoughts of self-harm and suicide. Instead of having an instant knowledge of a trustworthy adult, they need to spend precious time sifting through all of the adults in a building. From what I have heard from students and teachers, there's a lack of understanding of both the process and the rationale. This was a decision made behind closed doors without input from stakeholders. People have requested the statement read by principals in writing and have yet to receive anything. Were these expectations initially shared district-wide? And if not, why not? Why were educators and students so surprised by this decision? I was happy to hear tonight that there will be a new role for the director or coordinator of diversity, equity, and inclusion, so that shortens my speech a little bit. However, tonight I am focused on the flags. When I sent my original email a couple of weeks ago, I received a copied and pasted reply from Dr. Robb, who spoke on behalf of the entire school committee. Other residents have received the same message, and upon further pressing, we have also learned that, as Rachel mentioned, the school committee has the voting rights over policies but not rules. As a public educator myself, I know that the school committee has the power to make change and that the superintendent reports to the school committee. So I am sure that if this is something that you're unhappy with or would like to change, you have the power to do so. It may seem as though what I have to say is focused on educators, but in reality, the students are at the heart of this issue. Stoughton risks losing dedicated, compassionate, empathetic, and highly qualified educators through this decision, which directly impacts all of the students of Stoughton Public Schools.
Oh, good.
Sorry.
Sorry. Hillary, thank you, and thank you for your statement. The last person we have is Kathy Billow?
Yep.
Is it Billow?
Yep.
I said it right. See, this is, can you just state your name and address, please? for the-
Yep, my name is Kathy Billow, and I live at 19 Hahn Road. I have 3 daughters who all graduated from Stoughton High School, and I was thinking as I was coming here, like, I consider myself an ally, but what I might say. And when I was thinking about it, I thought about my middle daughter, who is a senior at Boston College.
my gosh.
And her comments when she finished her freshman year there. And what she had to say was that while she didn't think so much about it at the time when she was attending Stoughton High School, boy, was she happy that she did, because she came to know diversity that a lot of other students didn't know. And so this made her transition and finding herself at home at Boston College and making friends and all of these things a little bit easier. So I've always been really proud of the diversity that we've had here, and I thought you all should know that it translates to the students and it translates to those college campuses in making them feel more comfortable and better equipped to handle all the different types of people that they meet. So again, I just kind of wanted to share that, and I'm glad because it was a perspective from a student where my other friends were kind of speaking from a different point of view. So yeah, I'm just happy to have you all know that and to thank you all for your service to our community.
Thank you. Thank you, Kathy. We appreciate everyone coming out and for the speakers coming out to share and make your comments. And I can't wait to see the finished product, Rachel, when you're done knitting that. She's knitting, we have,
Take a while.
that's so funny. We'll have to email a picture to us so we can share it at our meeting. Anyway, thank you guys for coming. That concludes the portion of public comment. Have a great night, happy holidays, and enjoy the winter break.
Stay warm.
That's impossible.
Unless you stay in this room.
The next item on the agenda we have is old business. This is where we're going to discuss the FY24 budget and article approval portion of it. And we still have the public hearing open. And the public hearing, I'm just looking to see if we have anybody else that has joined post-public comment or stayed post-public comment to talk in the public hearing.
Stephanie has something.
Do you have something to say about the public?
Me?
Yes.
No, I was just here because I just wanted to support our scholarship opportunity.
Oh my gosh, and have a seat, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I didn't know, did you know? Oh, I'm so sorry.
It's on the agenda, so that's okay.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Oh, no, okay. But you wanted to speak in the public hearing. Oopsies. Okay, so I'm just going to ask, I'm going to go down, because we were very silent when we walked through and we had the hearing, at the start of the hearing. I know we've talked about the budget many times. We've had ample opportunity to contact Dr. Rab directly or email him with any questions in relation to the content within the budget, et cetera. So I'm going to just go to each person, because we've been so quiet, and just ask if there's anything, any questions before we put this forward for approval.
I do not have any questions. I appreciated the extra contact. It was great.
I don't have any questions. I appreciated the extra context at the beginning of the meeting, but feeling,
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you. Katie? It's the same old hat. Yeah. Fabienne?
No comments from me now.
How about you, Kathy?
I think I'm good. Yeah, I asked the question about that, and yeah, you answered my question about the transportation costs, so I think indirectly, but.
So just a couple of things, just to point out some clarity and make sure that we're all on the same page. So a lot of the resources from the reorg are being absorbed based on the existing work with ESSER, transitioning folks and kind of renaming some of those positions, correct?
Exactly.
Because the number here is smaller than I would expect, but it makes sense, given the fact that we've already transitioned some of that in the fall town meeting. The assistant superintendent, admin assistant, and the civil rights / DEI coordinator are positions that will be in the budget as separate, while it's the DEI civil rights coordinator are its own separate position. We do have that, and we've had that position in this district for a very long time by law. The school district does have to have a civil rights coordinator. And Mr. Ford, you've been that lucky person for a very long time. And I would love for you to come to the mic to make any comments about the civil rights coordinator in your work in that role that will transition to a different person under a new assistant superintendent.
Well, the civil rights coordinator is actually the only, it's the only piece of school committee policy that actually names an individual person. So we'll actually be coming back once the position's filled to you to actually appoint the person. Then we will put that in a policy and submit that to MASC to be posted for everyone to see. But we do have a civil rights program. We do occasionally have concerns that are addressed through the processes, the various processes that we have based on what what title we're actually working under. And one of the things is being civil rights coordinator, we are actually trained. I'm trained, I'm certified. I go through an approval process or a certification process, for instance, most recently under Title IX. And every time that we do have a major change to any of those processes, I mean, there is a component we go through. We do have civil rights representatives in all the schools. The principal of every school is a civil rights rep. And below them, there's an alternative person, either a teacher, an assistant principal, a counselor, that's also available for the faculty and staff. The principals are trained every year. We do it at a leadership meeting. And then they go back and they train the rep that works in them within the building. So there's always somebody a student can go to or a faculty member can go to. And when we talk about civil rights, it is inclusive of the whole school district. So it's not just the rights of kids, it's actually the rights of the faculty, the administrative team, everybody as well. And beyond that, I mean, we look at all the different aspects. And civil rights is inclusive of Section 504, Title I, Title IX, Title VI, Title IV. And Massachusetts does have several laws on the books that we adhere to, and it goes even from like, in looking at our curriculum every year, like we do a curriculum review to ensure that in fact there isn't demeaning content or content that needs to be put in context, all the way up to something like sexual harassment. So, and we do have all those mechanisms in place. And I think adding a person dedicated, it's a great idea, because it's not always something that's on the radar in terms of training or anything else, but when we do have an issue, it's incredibly time-intensive, and there has to be a great deal of thought and consideration into looking into the process, being thorough, getting all the perspectives, and then framing it correctly in context of the specific law that goes along with whatever you're looking at. So I think this is a worthwhile investment, in particular adding the DEI piece. I've been doing that as well.
Yes.
And we actually just spent 2 years providing targeted professional development. We actually had Clece Warnham, she's a spectacular speaker, and a consultant that we brought in to work with all of our different buildings. We dedicated 2 full professional development days, and we had her working at faculty meetings across the district for 2 years. She was fairly incredible. And it's nice to have somebody that can actually focus on that full time, as opposed to it being a compartmentalized thing. And I think over time and over the years, it's going to pay huge dividends for our district and moving forward. So thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you. No, thank you for all your time spent managing this on top of your other duties that you do as the deputy superintendent.
Well, deputy is basic, everything, so,
Yeah.
Yeah, there's plenty of titles, but this is one that absolutely deserves its own person.
Yep.
And I think it's going to pay huge dividends, like I said, moving forward.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate the added context. Okay, so, hello over there, we have our business manager. Do you have anything you wanted to add in relation to this on the cover letter? Nope? You got off easy, no questions again. This is wild. So, seeing no questions or any additional discussion, and seeing Katie smile the way she is,
I'm going to make a motion to approve the FY24 budget and articles. Whoa.
wow, that's intense. Are you going to say the amount or no?
Oh.
Yeah. You got so excited, I was like, hold on. Do you want to say the,
I'm going to just do it in separate? Oh,
yeah, I
all
would
right,
say so,
I'm gonna
please. That was a lot. I was
Approve the
like,
FY24 budget. What is the amount?
Do you want me to say the amount out loud?
Yeah, go ahead. Where is it?
$56,200,681.
yeah, $56,200,681, with an
Let's
increase of
turn the page.
1.91%. Get that, Nicole? Maureen, good? Okay. Would anybody like to second? I know you do, Lindsay. You want to second that? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Okay, great. So there's the budget. Now we have the articles. Get very confusing.
So we'll make a motion to approve the article security upgrades. We're gonna do the
For 400?
450,000, for 450,000
In 1 cent?
in 1 cent?
No, 450,000. Okay. Ooh, Lindsay got in on the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Okay, great. That one's all set. Wonderful. And then, okay, you're on a roll.
I'm making a motion to approve the Hanson Playground replacement for 950,000, is that 950?
Yes.
All right, because I wrote that down, but I don't have, I have the
It was a
We
replacement.
got a replacement one that was
Oh,
on.
never mind, it's somewhere around here somewhere.
Yeah, it was a lot. There's a lot going on. when
So
we-
950,000,
50,000.
right?
Yes. Good catch, though, because you had the old one, but you heard him. So you were listening, too.
I was listening.
Wow, there's a lot going on with you tonight.
No, I don't know.
All right, so, do I have a second? Oh, down here?
Second.
Okay, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, this is great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you to both of you and to your staff, Dr. Rabb, Mr. Ford, all your principals, and all of the support staff who helped, bring things forward for this, and all the work, and having it ready in October, which is nice and early, so that we don't have these long, extended discussions later in the year. All right. So now, can I get a motion to close the public hearing for the FY24 budget?
Made.
Second by Lindsay. All right. Roll call.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Aye.
Ayes have it.
And the ayes have it. And that was unanimous.
Oh.
I know. It's a tongue twister.
It is.
I know. So I said it. It's very quiet in here this evening.
It is quiet. It's because it's so hot. I mean,
Hot and
it's
quiet. It's very hot in here, right? Yeah. Anyway, so sorry, Dr. Rapp, I'm totally going off schedule, and you're probably like, woo, I'm driving you nuts. I'm sorry. It's just got really hot. I don't know what it is in this room for people that have never been here, but we have to open the windows, even though it's freezing out, because the heat is just it's a very old building, so we can't control it. So the new business, we have the Charles Costa Vocalist Memorial Scholarship Acceptance. That's the first item. Yeah. Okay. You're the next one. Yes, go ahead.
Sure. Thank you, Mrs. Gropey, members of the committee. I'm pleased to present the Charles Costa Memorial Scholarship. Charles Costa was a former student at Stoughton High who died tragically at 47 years old just this past April. His aunt, Suzanne Ladd, is sponsoring this scholarship in the amount of $500 for any student who is a vocalist. So the recipients of the scholarship will be selected by Suzanne Costa Bridgham in collaboration with our vocal music teachers. And that'll be for this year for $500 for a member of our senior class.
I'll make a motion to accept the Charles Costa Vocalist Memorial Scholarship.
Can I get a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Charles Costa's family, and our condolences. Would you mind if I asked you to the mic? I'd love to welcome Stephanie Patton to the microphone. It's been a very long time. No, please come have a seat at the table. Yeah. You can just put that sheet down. So nice to see you, and the mic is just off if you want to push the button, and you should be good. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
So we have on the agenda, the next item, which is why I asked you up, is the Oasis Stoughton Leadership Scholarship Acceptance. Would you want to do the honors and just talk
Sure.
about? Go ahead.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, I'm excited to be able to, on behalf of the Oasis Coalition, offer some scholarships this year. This is the first time we've been able to do this, so that's why I wanted to come out tonight to support this. We had the opportunity, we got some donation money from Good Samaritan Hospital, and we thought this would be an important way to support our students, and so the scholarship would be for students who have been involved with the Stoughton Youth Leadership Institute, which is a really wonderful collaboration that Oasis does with Stoughton High School. It's managed by an AmeriCorps Mass Promise Fellow, which is a really cool thing that we're able to do here in the community. And yeah, I mean, I think that's sort of the short version. So I'm excited that we have this opportunity this year, and thanks
So
for
nice.
considering it. Yeah.
Oh, is there anything you wanted to add, Dr. Ab? I saw, we all saw Ms. Miller's cover letter and her support of this. Is there anything you?
No, I think it's a wonderful opportunity, and it's up to two $500 scholarships for two of our seniors.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you.
We know you do a lot for the youth in town, and we appreciate it, and this is going to be a nice partnership again with the Stoughton schools.
Yep. Yeah.
And we'll see you soon at the mic. I think we're going to have you come out at some point in the near future in, what's this year, 22?
Not for much longer. It's 22, but not for much
Okay,
longer.
in 23, we'll like to have you come out and just talk a little bit about what's going on, and
Anytime.
so it'll be great. All right.
Anytime, happy to do it. Thanks
Thank
so much.
you so much. So,
Try to stay cool.
thanks. And if you want to just stand around, we're going to vote on it, and then you can celebrate the new.
I'll make a motion to accept the Oasis Stoughton Leadership Scholarship.
Oh, okay, I almost seconded that one. You were quick on that one, Lindsay. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great, it was
Thank you
unanimous.
very much.
Congratulations. Thank you. Stay warm, it's freezing out there. It's deceiving in this room.
Carry me for a little while, thank you.
Bye. So the next we have is the Stoughton High School Drama Scholarship Acceptance, and then, hold on. And then the other one is the Stoughton High School Onyx and Amber Color Guard Scholarship Acceptance. Both are in the same request letter to approve the scholarships.
Great, thank you very much. So these are both funded by our parents of performing students. They fund several scholarships for our graduating seniors, and they'd like to add these two. The first is the Stoughton High School Drama Scholarship. We have our new drama program, one recipient for $500. And the second one is the Stoughton High School Onks and Amber Color Guard Scholarship, one recipient for $500. And they're very excited to add these to their list of scholarships.
The Pops does so much for the students. Go ahead, Katie.
Do you want me to make the motion to accept the drama scholarship and the, is it Onyx and Amber Color Guard scholarship?
Okay, great. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And that is accepted. Thank you to the Stoughton Pops for once again supporting the fabulous programs that we have in the Fine Arts Department and those students. The next item on the agenda is the acceptance of minutes from the November 22nd, 2022 meeting.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of November 22nd, 2022.
Second.
You're on a roll tonight, Katie. I want you to know that. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. And then other matters, I have another matter. But, anybody have any other matters? I just have one matter. We received 3 emails from Stoughton community members regarding having nothing on walls. And Dr. Rabb, we've had many discussions when we've talked about, the decision and your decisioning and what was behind that. I know other members have reached out to you separately as well, just to understand better where that came from. You explained that this evening. Wanted to just acknowledge that we did receive those and felt that it was important for Dr. Rabb to respond directly to those correspondents so that he could provide the rationale and open up the door for a healthy discussion amongst you and those folks, so that you could better articulate the reasoning behind and maybe just get some insight as to where they're coming from and see where you feel after those discussions. So I wanted to note that we had received those. And I believe the school committee received those as well. So I just wanted to note that. I think that's it. No other matter other than, did you walk in the parade of lights?
I did.
Okay, did anybody walk in the parade? I did. You did? Yeah. Oh, we got banned. No, we didn't get banned, but when we...
So once he asked where you were, he said he was asking for you.
Good time, it's fine, but we were in it, and one year we went, we never came back, could never face them again.
Oh, it was
Do you
so
remember?
cold. It was so cold.
It was freezing, and
Some poor...
Mike Sullivan brought his little kids, they were like toddlers with their red radio flyer wagon, and then the kids didn't want to go anymore, so I decided I'm going to, it's a long walk. And Katie pulled me in it through the center of town, all the way to the end of the parade, and we waved to people, and it worked out fine. Her back was sore, and I was fine. We threw candy, and, yeah, and it was freezing.
It was freezing. It was, I'm not good in the cold weather.
No, and since I broke my foot, I'm not able to walk the parades, which I've had to decline all of them that have happened, that we've been invited to, because I have a hard time walking long distance with
And
that.
although Mike let us use the wagon, I'm sure no one else would really want Sandra to
Yeah.
take their kid's spot in the wagon.
Yeah, I didn't take the spot for the record, and we can minute that. No, I'm just kidding. They didn't want to use it, and Mike was pulling it, and I said, hey, do you want us to take that off your hands? And he said, sure. What are you going to do? What's a girl to do, Katie? What's a girl to do? Anyway, so yeah, I'm glad to hear that you guys were able to participate in that other matter, and I just forgot to note that that was a nice event, and I'm happy that the town puts that on. Okay, so that is it, since no one else has any other matters, and I don't want to embarrass myself further, we're going to adjourn the meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, so, what's that? Second. You seconded it, so quick this evening. All right, all in favor, I'll start down here.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so the meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Have a happy holiday, stay safe, Happy New Year, and we'll see you in the new year. Thank you.